6 o'clock. Hey y'all. Happy Thriving Thursday. And again, looks like my camera is smushed. I don't know what's going on. I think when I turn my phone to the side, it's smushing. And y'all, I'm in the car because I have practice. So yeah. Um. Hey Bree. So we don't really have like the whole hour today. We have. I think I have like 30 minutes. So like 25 minutes. Um. Hey Donovan. Donovan, if you want to hop on today again, you can. So happy Thriving Thursday, y'all. Two of y'all see if y'all can reach out and get the link. Cause I'm gonna do like a check-in type thing. If you want to, just two of y'all. It's up to you. It's up to y'all. But real quick, just to start us off, I'm gonna be talking about checking in today. So my big thing is I'm checking in with y'all checking in with me, y'all are checking in with it. So we talked about stress last week. Oh man, it's frozen. Oh, come on. Let me see. Let me make sure. My screen is frozen, but can y'all hear me? If y'all can hear me, I'm gonna keep going because I wanna doing okay. All right. So just very tired. So I'm tired as well. Definitely. I had to work today. I worked from home and I ended up sleeping through my last 2 hours of work. I don't suggest that, but I'll make up that work later and get it all done. But like my biggest thing, yes, Bree, finding out ways to keep you energized. And we're gonna talk a little bit about that. We're gonna touch into that today. I'm not gonna pull up my slides today because we don't really have too much time and I don't want to go into anything and we miss out on something or we can't finish a topic that we like we'll get going and we won't be able to finish. So the biggest thing is knowing when to check in, knowing when to check out. And a lot of the times I see posts like, oh, if this person isn't checking in on you, they don't care about you and all that. I want us to get out of that mindset. I really want y'all to understand that that's not a good mindset to have. So that's really what I'm going to be talking to y'all about. It's a terrible mindset to have that if someone's not checking in on you, that they don't care about you or you should cut them off or they're being selfish. Sometimes you have to be selfish and it's not because it's not being selfish because you don't care about other people, but it's being selfish because you need to care about yourself. Like you have to do what you have to do for yourself. You have to take your space and sometimes you can't check in on people. It's really hard to check in on people when you're not doing well yourself. And a lot of the times, like I've heard people say or I've seen posts and that goes back into sometimes you got to put yourself first. In all actuality, you always need to put yourself first. Well, you put your higher up first, however you live by. I put God first, then it's me. Like you have to start putting yourself first. Like I was the person and I still am sometimes where I'm not putting myself first and it shows. Miss Mo asked my kids the other day, like, you can't tell your mom is tired because yes, I gotta put me first, Lucius. Hi Naeem. But I definitely have like I'm the type of person that I've put so many people before me that it began to wear on me. So I'm learning, like as I'm talking to y'all, I'm learning the same thing. Like you gotta put yourself first. You have to take your space, take your rest. Yeah. And like a big thing for this generation, and I love it that I'm seeing is a lot of self-care and self-love. And um I love that for us that we're seeing that. See, Bree and Antonio, y'all are exactly right. And Bree, you touched on it. Like you get burnt out. I get burnt out a lot. And it takes a lot for me to get burnt out because I'm so used to helping and giving. Because that's the type of person that's just part of my oh
Hey everyone.
Hey,
Hi.
but that's the type of person I am. So we gonna do this check-in real fast. Me and Donovan. Donovan, you again another week that you just made. So my first person I'm checking in with is Donovan. So Donovan, I want to know how you're doing. Um, do you want to share any good news? Do you want to share any bad news? And how do you like? How are you feeling?
For the most part, I think I'm feeling pretty good. Like, I don't know if I shared this with y'all. I know I shared it on Mission Monday, but like when it comes to summer, I'm usually like really depressed because like my schedule like totally shifts. But I've
Mm-hmm.
been occupying myself, and I actually dyed my hair black 2 days ago because it was blonde before, but like the black was growing in, and like the blonde and black combo wasn't doing me justice, and it was just making me like so frustrated. So like I got that out the way, so I guess I'm feeling pretty good.
See, so, and that's what I'm saying. Like, sometimes, even if you speak it out loud, like you speak what you're feeling out loud, that's a check in with yourself. You don't necessarily have to check in with anybody else, but check in with yourself so that you understand how you're feeling. A lot of the times, we don't even understand what we're feeling. So to speak it out loud and to be able to say how we're feeling out loud, like I'm just now getting to the point where I can say out loud, I'm frustrated, I'm tired, I'm burnt out. I'm just now getting to that point. So that's definitely something that we have to work on. So for you to be able to say, like, I know that when the summertime comes, my energy shifts. That's wonderful self-recognition. Like that's wonderful self-awareness. Like you know yourself a little bit more than some people at your age may know themselves. So that's great. So I definitely appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. But so I'm gonna get into just appropriate ways to check in. So like I just said, you're checking in and you're checking in with yourself by speaking things out loud, but being able to check in with other people. So you may get to a point where you cut people off, and it's not like you're cutting people off because they're toxic, but you have to step away. So a big thing you may do is have that one person that knows that you're okay. For me, my one person is Miss Mo. I can put my phone on do not disturb. I can cut my phone off. So for my birthday, a big thing I did was I was like, hey, my phone's gonna be off, but I'll be checking in with you. So that was it. I checked in with Miss Mo the whole time. So she knew I was okay. But so if anybody else needed to know, they could contact her. And sometimes you have to have that outlet person, but also make sure it's not too much on them. So while you're taking your space and you have your check-in person, make sure that you're not doing anyone else any injustice or like making them any more tired by having to handle your affairs. So a lot of the times you have to check in just that one person. I do check in with my mom. I talk to my mom every day almost. I'm really close to my dad, but I don't talk to my dad every day. Um but that's just not my check-in person. My mom is more of the one who's usually concerned about health, safety, and not to say that my dad doesn't care, but it's just a little my dad is really laid back. So a lot of the times it's just like, hey, I'm gonna see you, you good. With my mom it's like, are you okay, like what's going on today, how are you feeling? And even then I'm just now able to communicate my feelings and frustrations with my mother. um Yep. You get frustrated and overwhelmed when you feel like you have to check in on everybody. I do as well. It's really hard. Like I get so frustrated because my mom is the big and my mom's side of the family, she's the one who brings everybody together, and she kind of passed that role on to me. And I even had to get to the point where I'm like, Ma, I don't want to do this. Like I don't want to be that person that always has to bring people together. Like y'all can check in and say how y'all doing, but I have to I have to be able to make sure I'm okay first. And a lot of the times when you are that check-in person, nobody's checking on you. And it's not intentional. It's not intentional, but they just see you as I can come to you, but then you always and they don't even realize or think, well, who do they go to? So you have to have your person. If you're gonna be that person for someone else, you have to have that person for you. And even if it's writing it down and again speaking it out loud or just anything, make sure that you have a way to check in. And sometimes you have to check out. So like I said, I went on vacation and I completely was like, I'm not talking to anybody. Like I told my kids, like, you have what you need, do what you're supposed to do. um yep, Antonio, you're exactly right. And Bree, that's what I was saying. Like, you're checking in on people and nobody's saying, well, how are you doing? And then you get offended. You like, dang, well, nobody checking in on me. It's not that. And sometimes their checking on you is when they communicate with you. And I've even seen people say, like, oh, like somebody's not your real friend or your real best friend if you don't talk to them every day and checking on them every day. I don't check in with my best friend every day, but when we talk to each other, we pick up right where we left off. Why? Because that's what best friends do. She's there for me when I need her. She's there for me just when I want to talk, just when I want to hang out. But also, she has a life of her own. Like, my best friend is married. So, now she has things to do when it comes to her life. Yes. And my best friend lives pretty far. And so every time I can get out there, I get out there to see her. And I even had to build a relationship with her husband before they got married. Her husband and I got close because it's easier to be able to, talk to and be around her when we can all be together. Like, her husband has even gotten to the point where he'll check in on me and say, hey, how y'all doing? How you doing? How the kids doing? He'll say, like, I want to get the kids and stuff, because they know kids are a lot. So you have to have people around you that are willing to do that for you. And that goes into another thing where, who's in your circle? Who's in your circle? So if you have somebody in your circle that you feel like they just absolutely don't care about you, then they don't need to be in your circle. And that's how you have to carry it sometimes. Like, okay, well, you don't need to be in my circle, but if you're always expecting somebody to check in, and you may be at a point where it's like you're visibly like not doing well, and people see you and they comment on it, or they, okay, Donovan, okay, coming with the wisdom. I love it. um but definitely, like, but you could be visibly like upset, and people can see that, but they're not going to know how to address it. And sometimes you have to be able to say, hey, like, I'm just not feeling it. Like, if somebody's calling you to check in, like, hey, they're calling you to tell you what's going on, you can say, like, hey, I understand you're upset, but right now I'm going through something and I can't handle that. I can get back to you when you need it, write it down, put it in your notes, but I can't handle that right now. Don't take on too much. And that is a really, that's really important, not taking on too much. I've done it. Like, I was at the point where I was getting up, going to the gym, going to practice, going to workouts, picking people up, dropping people off, taking my kids here, taking my kids there, cooking, cleaning. And it was just like, it was too much, and it got to the point where my body shut down on me. And I like, it's hard because I'm the type of person where I could just go 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 go, but when my body is done, my body is done. Like, my body is done. I'm going to sleep, I'm going to hurt. And then we have all these germs going around, all this stuff going around, so you don't necessarily know what's hitting you. And it sucks, because now it's like, well, am I feeling down because I may have COVID? No, you're feeling down because you're doing too much. You're so worried about making sure everybody else is okay that you're not making sure you're okay. And we have to get out of that. And I really want y'all to get out of that. Like, I want like I told y'all before. No, seriously, that's how my body be saying, Cam, finish her. Like, my body be like, you're done. Literally, like, you're done. That's it. But you definitely have to you got to get to the point where you can say no. Say, I have a horrible time I have a horrible time saying no because I feel like people aren't going to ask you for things if they don't need it. But now I'm learning, like, people going to ask you for things because they know the type of person that you are. And sometimes you have to know when somebody really needs it or when they need somebody that's just going to say yes. So you have to be able to weigh that out. You have to be a better judge of character on yourself and on other people. But like, people getting mad because you're not checking in with them. Hey, find somebody else that's gonna be your checking person, but it ain't gonna be me. Sometimes you have to handle people like that. Handle people accordingly. Because if they're not checking in on you and you feel like that's somebody who needs to be checking in on you, okay. And but again, don't expect it from anybody because they don't necessarily know that that's who they are for, like, that's who they could be for you. So it's hard. And that's where judging character has to be, judging your, like, being self-aware. Like, there are people that are extremely needy. If you have people that are extremely needy and you're available to them all the time, they're going to use that up. If you're available to people all the time, they are going to use that up. And that's why, like, I always talk about, like, just putting your phone on do not disturb, having that set time. Like, people know after 10:15, don't call me because you're not it's don't call me because you're not going to get an answer after 10:15. Don't text me when I need sleep or when I need rest. My phone is going on do not disturb, and I'm just now learning that. At first I would sleep and my phone would ring and I would get up and answer because I feel like you're calling me because you need something. And some people are calling to tell you all of their problems, but they have yet to say, well, how are you doing? And I've started practicing that. Yup. I've started practicing that. Like, I've gotten to the point, like, even when I call my best friend, like, we do like a check-in. Like, it's not even like it's not always a check-in. Like, I'll text her and say, hey, love you, have a great week. Or send her money, hey, lunch on me today. That's checking in. But you don't have to do that for everybody. Because then again, you have to think, like, is it gonna be reciprocated? Don't expect it to be reciprocated. Don't expect that. But if it's going to be reciprocated, that's great. Have people in your circle that can reciprocate. That's where you have to learn to not have too many people in your circle, because now you have to check on this person. You have to check on this person. You got to check on their mama. You got to check on their daddy. You got to check on their grandma. You got to check on grandpa, little sister, all of that. That's not what you're here for. That is not what you're here for. To just be checking in on everybody, and then you're sitting here feeling lonely, like nobody's checking in on you. It does hurt. Like, it's like, hey, I'm doing all of this for all these people. Who's there for me? Like, when you get older, you start to realize how much you do for people and how underappreciated a lot of the things that we can. No, you can click notify anyway. I get that a lot from some people, but some, like, I have my phone set where some people can't even do that. Like, there are certain people that I know that if they call me or they text me, they're just being extremely needy. So I've gotten to the point where there are certain people that cannot notify me anyway. So if it's an emergency, like if it's a family member, go ahead and hit that notify anyway button. Yeah, if it's important, hit the notify anyway button. So I'm gonna pass this on to Donovan and see what they have to say about checking in. How do you feel about checking in on people, and how do you feel about people checking in on you?
That's a great question. When it comes to checking in on people and like people checking in on you, I say don't always expect something in return. Like, for example, if you just want a compliment, you're like, "Oh my God, you're so pretty," and they just say thank you and walk away. You can't
Mm-hmm.
be standing there waiting for them to say you're pretty too, because it's like you voluntarily did that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to do anything back but say thank you and keep walking. And
Mm-hmm.
even if they don't say thank you, you can't be mad because that's something you initiated, something you set action on. So when it comes to people not checking on you, I guess some people don't know how to check in on people. It's because of things. Okay, the camera finally asked squish, but
It's
it's
because I turn my phone to the side. So when I turn my phone sideways, I guess that's what it is. But I sit it because I have practice. I sit it right on the steering wheel. So that's what it
yeah.
is.
Okay, but yeah, some people don't know how to check in on people, which is something that we can learn and something you can help them learn.
Mm-hmm.
but you can't take it too personal because it's like, okay, we all got things going on. Like, I know you just had a breakdown in the bathroom. How you know they're not having a breakdown right now?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
All right, I like that. So we only have like literally like 3 minutes, 5 minutes. But so like Donovan said, you can't expect it. And so I feel like we're on the same page. You can't expect I this is something somebody said to me. Don't expect you from other people. And I don't think I've ever expected me from other people, but I do think that I expected a little more out of people than what they could give because of what I was given. But then I had to take that step back. Like, you know what? They may not be capable of that. They may not have the capacity to do that. They may not even understand how needy they are being. So that's something like it comes with age, it comes with experience, and yeah. It like so as the years go by, like when I was in high school, I didn't like I wasn't the most social person. Even in college, even now. So I feel like when I build these relationships with certain people, like I hold them dearly to me because I'm not a big socialite. Like I talk to you all, but if you all ever see me like in person, you probably wouldn't even know I was in a room. You may speak and that's it. Um, so I have like my core people that I talk to, and I make sure that see, Cam wasn't in my budget. Woo, if we could get if we had the whole hour, I would get into that. Um, yeah, because adulting is expensive, so that's also another thing. Like, don't be out here just putting your money out on people because I can guarantee you ain't getting it back. You're not getting it back. Like, that's you're not. That comes with I think Cam put in here about boundaries and stuff like that. Like, or not expecting you out of people. Like I know that if I do need to borrow something from somebody, I'm gonna give it back. If I do take up somebody's time, I'm gonna find a way to give it back. Okay, gas is too high. Yes, ma'am. Gas is expensive. Um, but no, like it's oh yes, it's about 80 to fill up my tank. 80, 85 to fill up my tank. But like I'm reading your comments and I'm losing my track of my train of thought. Um, but you definitely like you can't expect you out of other people, and you got to be able to set boundaries at some point, and that's like I had to learn that. I'm still learning it. I've been terrible with uh I'm terrible with setting boundaries with people, especially like family members. But like I would like so that's another thing. I've definitely like I had family members that will tell me like you don't even tell me when you have stuff. And it's not intentional. It's just I just don't it's not intentional that I don't call these people, but also that's part of my personality. I'm an introvert, so a lot of the times like I have to take my space. I like being overwhelmed socially. You can tell it's all on my face. It's in my body language. It's hard. So like checking in with people, I check in with who I need to check in to. Okay, Cam said, oh, Bree said I don't know how to set boundaries with family. So you can all like just do it respectfully. Do it respectfully. So you can say like somebody call you or they want you to go somewhere. Hey, not right now. Like this isn't the time. Like I'm not at my best. And I feel like you should be able to tell your family members that I am not at my best right now. Because if you can't tell your family members that, um, some family members they don't understand, especially older family members, they don't understand, and a lot of the times they're telling us like, "Oh, you ain't going through nothing. I am. I am. It may not be the same thing that you went through at my age, but I'm going through it." Parents don't. So I'm not gonna say all parents don't understand, because my parents are very understanding when it comes to going through things. A lot of the times, it depends on what it is. Because I can just be like, "I'm tired." Well, what are you tired from? Just life. So, all right, it's 6:26. We gotta wrap it up because I think y'all have somebody coming on at 6:30. So thank you again, Donovan. Definitely put a big smile on my face. I really appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Have a great weekend, everybody. And we're gonna get right back into it. I think next week I have y'all again next week. So yeah.
Yo, we forgot
Donovan,
Jules. We
I'm
forgot
gonna
Jules.
ask you this. Do you have a jewel to drop?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My Jew is actually from is actually a quote
Mm-hmm.
from um a person. Her name is Tamara Stevens.
Mm-hmm.
Tamara Stevenson, sorry. And she is the CEO and founder of an organization called Wanda, which is empowering women.
Mm-hmm.
And like the Youth Food Security Network, we actually interviewed her on Tuesday. She said
Mm-hmm.
something like that really inspired me. I had to write it down immediately. And she said, "Is it healing or is it killing?" Just,
Oh yes.
just say that with y'all. Mic drop.
Yes, Mike. There we go. Thank you, Donovan. I really appreciate that. Yeah. So, and then my today, real simple. Take your space. Take care of yourself. That real simple. But yeah, thank y'all. Have a great week. See y'all next week.
See y'all. Bye, y'all.
Hey guys. Hey Donovan. Hey Cam. Um, do you want to start off with our introductions, Mr. Dr. Phil?
Sure. You want to introduce yourself first?
Oh, okay. Hey, I think everybody knows me. I'm Asada, and it's me and Dr. Phil. We're gonna be on this meeting today from John Hopkins.
Okay. So I'm Phil Leaf. I'm a professor at Johns Hopkins, but I'm actually here as part of, I'm the secretary for the We Are Us movement. I don't know whether people are familiar about it. Got started about 3 years ago, and it's a whole bunch of both men and women who are out trying to do good things in Baltimore. Um, and one of the things we're doing, and this is specifically so, the city develops a plan for the plan to guide what they're going to do, and they do it about every 10 years. The last one was done probably about 15 years ago, and they're in process of doing one right now. Um, and what we are us and a couple of many other groups were asked to can you do something to help the city understand what it should be going on. And one of the things I suggested was, well, there's groups like this group, and they always think about go into meetings that are having a meeting and have people walking over to them. And I said, I'm not the expert on this, but I think young people get together a lot more virtually, whether it's on YouTube or other things that then go to sit down meetings, particularly now. And so what if we went to some place where their young people already were? And so instead of saying, well, they got to come to some meeting. That's part of why I'm here. And Asiata is going to take the lead to try to help make sure that when the city's putting together its next plan, they've actually heard from you and getting the ideas that you want to do. And this is the first phase of it. It's going to continue for at least another year, but we want to be thinking about ways that young people can both get their ideas out there, but also when the city comes together with its plan, you guys get to see what the plan is and give feedback on it and continue to give feedback on it, not just have one meeting, but try to make sure, because one of the things is, the adults in the city, we meet all the time. We're always at meetings with each other. I'm hardly, unless I'm going to the youth advisory board or a couple of, the mayor's commissions that he's put together, and he's actually had some young people on. And I know, some of you guys are Naeem and Cam and a couple other folks are actually on some of those citywide things, but they're still mostly old people. And so what we wanted to do is come to you, hear what your suggestions were, but hopefully be able to come back to you again. And when we get information about where the city's going, get it back to you in whatever formats you feel most comfortable with, so that Asiata, I, Cam, other people that are on, Naeem, that are on these task forces and mayors committees, can make sure that it's not just one person on there that they can easily ignore, but lots of you who are reinforcing what each other are saying, what you want to do. And so we see this as hopefully a good step in that direction.
I'm gonna be feeding on what Dr. Phil said. Basically, the Baltimore City Planning Department is developing a plan to guide development in Baltimore over the next 10 years, and we would like to hear like your opinion on it. I do have a question. How would you uh, how would you make the neighborhood more livable?
And I guess you could either put things in chat, or I don't know, are they also able to talk, or?
Oh no, they could put it in the chat.
Okay, so we'll read as the chat comes on. Um, anything specific that if you were the mayor for the year, what would you want the mayor to be doing? What would you want the city to be doing to make your life better, to make the life of your family better, your neighbors better, your grandmother better? It doesn't have to be for you, but what is it that we spend lots of time often just talking about the problems, but I always hear when I'm ever at meetings with you guys, really good suggestions, very specific things about how you can make your school better. What kind of thing about transportation or getting access to jobs that could be put in place that would help you really, give you hope. So any suggestions, again, if it's coming from you, it's the right suggestion. It's not something, this isn't a test to figure out if you know the right answer. No, you guys have the right answer. We just need to figure out how the city can hear the right answers and what it is you want to do.
Would anyone like to join to? Oh, Donovan says something. Would you like to do that, Dr. Phil?
Sure, Donna's saying more nutritious options when it comes to food, more efficient scent and accessible, access and accessible. So there's travel issues and cost issues. And so Donovan's suggesting you sort of need grocery stores or groceries that are closer by and that you can afford to do. And he also says, can I join? I'm not sure
Yeah,
what that means.
yeah. If he has the link, he can join, or if they have the link, they can join. But yeah, what's like something you guys would like to see more of the city doing, or like less of? Oh, they're joining now. But Dr. Phil, do you have any questions to ask?
Well, I think so. One of the things I've heard complaints about, and Don's on, so let him go. But after, some of you get your food to schools. Is it great? I haven't heard that it's so great. Do you have suggestions specifically? What kind of food, or you get some people get breakfast and lunch, and sometimes if you're out of school, it's even you get an afternoon meal, and then there's now in the summer they're delivering these things. Is it working? Is there you have it? Do you have suggestions about how to make it work better? And Don, you're joined us, so go ahead, take the
Hi.
lead.
I actually do have a suggestion. Like when it comes to school food, like I'm ready to talk about it. One thing I do notice are the portions. Like they give us food, but not enough to like really fill you up, and like I don't know how can I say this. I wouldn't say digestible because you can digest it, but sometimes the
Not
food is
really
not enough.
appetizing.
Yeah, it's not appetizing or it's not enough. Like they give us three chicken bites and like a couple fries, and that's it. Like okay, Tyler meal, not too much though.
Right.
Just building out what you say, I know a lot of, at the top end, so there's a mayor's youth commission, and, should the school have a youth advisory board around their food? I mean,
Yes,
all the students have food. I don't want to suggest something that nobody would want to be on. I mean, the young people, you guys wouldn't be on, but if that's a specific thing that, could be suggested, saying, instead of, once a year getting complaints, have youth should be involved in some way monitoring the food, all school year.
yeah,
Also, I don't really want to compare the Baltimore City schools to like private schools or like county schools because I know that they have better food than us. But I feel like they have a more of a say in what they eat, and but yeah, that's just us. We're not really as good as yeah.
Okay, then.
Also, I should like I feel like when a Baltimore City school like Dr. Phil, like you say that they say something and they really don't put work into what they say. I feel like they should stick to their word or like at least have a student to project what they say.
Okay. And again, how to, is there something that could get created where there could be an organized group of, whether it's an organized group or maybe, they should be coming to, again, like we're doing, where youth are meeting, they should go to where the youth are to hear, what they're saying, as opposed to saying, you got to come to a meeting at 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock or whatever it is. But then Jim also put some things in the chat. I want more efforts towards making the city look better far as trash, old buildings, and vacant housing. And she also talked about the preparation for food could be better. Many times the food's overcooked and undercooked, and she even says the milk's usually expired.
that's a true story. This one time I went to go drink the milk. Why is chunky? Why is the milk chunky? Seriously, quickly. So I haven't been drinking school milk since then, and also sometimes the food doesn't look very appetizing. Like I know in the beginning of the school year, they gave like these cold sandwiches and this tuna fish, but it didn't like tuna fish at all. It was like I don't know. It was like really just chunks of meat put together with like sauce, and I was like honestly terrified.
Yeah, and we have vending machines, but like in most schools, but not a lot of people have like the money to pay for vending machines. So the only options they have is the lunch food, and it is not so good.
One thing I do like about the lunch food though is that pizza. That pizza is pretty good, and appetizing. So
Okay. So it sounds like we need some way for both students can identify what's not so good, but also when there are things that are good, how you can get more of that. And then another thing I've heard again, because the food's sort of at the school level, and in some schools, some of the students some schools I've never heard, no student has ever said a good thing about the food. And in some other schools, at least some of the students think it's okay. So I'm just wondering, you think if it's a single school system, why is it so different? And the same things for other things that are going on in the school. Some people say, their bathrooms don't work, and other people say, well, our bathrooms are okay. Or, I mean, nobody can drink the water. That's one thing that's bad every place. But again, if they're putting together the plan, what are some positive, specific positive things that they could be doing to make it better that you have suggestions on, that if they put in place could make it better, or a specific fix for some of these things. And it doesn't have to just be the food or the schools. I mean, your neighborhood. People talked about the trash. Or there other things? You got enough playgrounds in your neighborhood, or are there things that you can you go someplace that's safe?
I just feel like we should just have a say in what we eat and we'll enjoy more. Because nobody likes cold mozzarella sticks.
I agree. I think having a youth advisory board for like the Baltimore City public school system and in the county too would actually really help us, because it's like we're living in the school system, but we don't get a say to how things come out, which is oddly weird. But if we did have that system in place, things will run way more better, because we can actually give our feedback in the most positive way and see change.
And especially since we have microwaves, but every time we try to use the microwave, they're like hogged by other people, and there's not like a lot of microwaves for the students. So we can't like possibly heat up our foods that we bring from home. So yeah, either way, we're just starving, and we're just working and then stressed, and then we're hungry. So it's just like
Okay. So Antonio made a good point. He talked about it in Baltimore, down the harbor. You got people throwing away their trash into the water and harm. Is there something that might, what is it that the city could do, or people in the city could do, to try to get other people not to be throwing away their trash, particularly into the harbor. But I've just seen people and lots of walking around and throwing it, wherever they are, and maybe it's because in some places there's not trash cans. But is there something that the city could be doing to produce better, more positive attitudes, or something, um, and are his trash cans one of the solutions? That if there were more of them, then less people would be throwing things into the water.
I also want to talk about how the government cut off PEBT. So now a lot of students have to actually eat school foods, and it's just more stressful for them because they're just probably looking forward to what to eat at lunch, but they don't have much to choose from.
So,
I agree
so
with this.
what?
Sorry.
No, no. Okay. What do you think could get that? What is a What's the solution, though? Or
I don't really think there could be a possible solution, but the government cut off the PBT, so it's up to the government now.
I agree with Asada. Also, back to Antonio's thought about people throwing trash in the harbor. I think there could be more and better trash cans. Like if I'm on a bus stop, I look at the trash can and it looks questionable. It looks questionable. Like, do I really want to step by it and get flies swarmed around me? No. But like sometimes the trash cans aren't taken care of. Like sometimes they aren't empty. So it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and I just they're like overflowing most of the times, and I feel like most of the city trash they just ride past it. But is there a solution to that?
I don't think there is a solution specifically, because at the end of the day, we have been talking about climate change and how we've been harming the earth for years. And some people just don't want to listen. They're like yellow, but some people actually do want to listen, and some people actually do care, and they will listen once you talk about it and create change.
I just think there like should be more of those city trash cans, like the green ones around, like the ones that they dropped off around people's houses. There should be a lot of more that instead of just one, because a lot of trash and trash picker uppers don't pick up trash until like Wednesday. So
See, in some of the neighborhoods, you need more. You're saying they need more frequent trash pickups.
yeah, daily probably, maybe twice a week.
Yeah,
I
and I
agree.
think,
Sorry.
yep, yeah. I mean, and again, it varies. I live in Baltimore. My neighborhood, don't need people throw out the trash and in their houses. There's not a lot of trash on my streets, but there's other streets where there's more people, and walking around, and so it shouldn't be like one size fits all. It shouldn't be every neighborhood gets it once a week. Some sounds like you're saying some neighborhoods need it more. Some neighborhoods may need it every day. If I'm sure I don't know. I would have hoped the Inner Harbor they picked up trash every day because there's a lot of people down there, but maybe they don't.
I definitely agree because I know when I be taking trash sometimes, like I have 2 or 3 bags just sitting there for like 7 days out of the week or 6 days out of the week until they come around and pick trash up that one day, and it's like okay, the rodent's gonna get to it. They're gonna rip the bag open. Now we just sitting here looking stuck. So
Yeah, definitely. Especially since I live with a lot of people and like our trash overfills like quickly. We have to throw it out. And then the trash can outside gets filled out quickly. And then we have to wait for Wednesday to come around so we can actually put it out on a block so they can pick it up. I just wish they could come around like twice a week at least.
Okay. And then Jim talked also mentioned that the vending machines are really pricey. Um,
175 for Arizona is too much. But I just think the like people bring at least $2 to $3 to school, and the most they can get is chips, a little bag of chips and a drink. But they can't get something that could satisfy them.
okay. What about sort of recreational opportunities or other things? Do you have any suggestions about what either types of things that just maybe they're available but not every place, or and this could be in the school. Some of the school I hear that some schools have really some exciting after school programs around art or other things, and other schools don't have it. Or any of you in schools that you have some really good things there that you think should be in more schools? You hear from your friends that it's not in their school.
Well, Weston had used to have this cooking club like twice, no, once every week. It was always on a Tuesday, but that was only on one day. So it's just like people will depend on that day to eat, and we wouldn't get a lot because the people that would hold up that club just only could provide a little bit. So
Um, so I, I don't think anybody's on this meeting in person. Does everybody have good access to internet where they live and things? Is that something that we need better of or more of, or either cost wise or even accept? I hear from in some neighborhoods it's really hard to pick up the internet, and other places it works fine. Is that an issue for any of you guys, or?
well, for me, not really, but like since I have like a lot of people in my house, they use up the Wi-Fi, so I'm just like usually on my data, but usually around around my neighborhood, the Wi-Fi works pretty good.
yeah, the Wi-Fi tends to work pretty good, but like when you live in a house with like 5 people, it does become a bit pricey. So I don't know, something about that could be changed.
I heard that they used to have these like little data blocks where you could just connect to them back in the days, but I don't think they have it around anymore. Probably.
Yeah, my mom had one actually a couple years ago, And I've been like searching for one, like what was it even called? But I can't find it.
Okay. Well, I mean, one of the things that I've talked about is trying to get free Wi-Fi access to more neighborhoods. So that sounds like something it's important. But one, because you probably use the Wi-Fi for school, even if it's not the school work, it's tracking down the information for the school or helping to write papers. So is that is that something that the city should be looking into to make sure that as you said, particularly if you have multiple children in your household, it becomes very expensive for the family to one is the excess. I mean, even if I have two or three people in my house using the Wi-Fi, it starts deteriorating. But I'm sure if there were, multiple children, there would even be more. So that sounds like something. Or other people, you know, um, uh, the cost of the Wi-Fi, um, uh, you know, I mean, there are some places in the city where they have free Wi-Fi. I mean, if you live there, you can access it free. And I know other cities that have the entire city, the city set it up so that there's free Wi-Fi because they thought that, because of the students, they need to make, the students, they can't have the students required to do things. And then, at the end of the month, they can't, the parent can't pay the bill. And so they lost their Wi-Fi for 2 or 3 weeks. Understand.
Yeah, I also think that Baltimore City could provide more places that not students, but like kids could be more safer at, cause like they don't have like a lot of playgrounds that are safe to play at. So I think they should provide more playgrounds.
I agree. I feel like a lot of the programs we have aren't really safe. Wait, before I get into the programs, I agree with the Wi-Fi idea. I think, like, why isn't Wi-Fi free? It's like we're literally in a pandemic right now, and a lot of people are still doing virtual school, and you have to do homework from home and stuff like that. So it's like we kind of depend on it. So for us to pay for it is like wild. Also, when it comes to playgrounds, I know my best friend Jakani, she lives near a playground, but like that playground is not safe at all. Like if you go there at nighttime, you probably will end up missing or dead, which is really sad. Like I know one time she said she went there and there was like a whole shot in front of her as a kid, which is crazy.
Also, I think they should provide more street lights because a lot of like there's it's like around my area it's pretty dark. So like I feel like more street lights could be safer as well.
Has anybody on this ever used 311 to submit a complaint, or when streetlights are out or something, you're supposed to be able to put something. I just wonder whether people haven't had either a positive experience, and people just don't know about it, that you can actually put something in and they do fix it, or they put something in and didn't matter, nothing ever happened. People in the chat can just put their experiences in, or
I actually haven't heard that before. I didn't know it was like an option.
Okay, so that just says we need information about things, because I know that's one of the things that some of the neighborhood organizations that I'm working in East Baltimore, and they've made an effort to not just have one person do it, but they have other people, so they're getting multiple complaints, and then they follow up with the council person. And one of the things Mayor Scott's gotten a little, I mean, he's put pressure on the agencies and is monitoring now, how many complaints did you get, and did you actually do something about it? Not just, oh, we had 300 complaints. Well, we did 300 complaints and we were able to fix 290 of them. And here's why we didn't fix the other 10. But so it sounds like young people aren't using or don't know about the for public things, including dirt or things. But if things are broken, they use it for cars to get cars picked up. They're supposed to be it's one of the ways that people would not that they don't know about it, because you mentioned they drive past the trash cans, but there's at least a record. Now somebody's made a complaint that on this corner the trash cans are overflowing. So that might be, so part of it may be also just sort of an informational kind of thing, or making it more accessible to young people.
Does anyone have questions for me, Don, or Dr. Phil? Okay, Dr. Phil, do you want to
Okay.
say something?
No, I mean this. I'll type up this stuff and send it in. And as I said, so they're doing these here. They're doing meetings and stuff. And what the plan is that sort of in the fall, they're going to identify a number of areas that the city should work on, and then they want to get the priorities. And so I think it's going to be important to come back to the young people. So because again, most people that do these things are old people. They got that's just what they do. They go to these meetings. I mean, I'm an old person, so I'm not complaining about the old people. I'm just sort of saying what they do. And it strikes me again, often they're not presented in places where the young people are. They'll present it at a neighborhood meeting. I don't know, when I go to the neighborhood meetings, I'm actually a young person at the neighborhood meeting, and that's hard to believe. But there's a lot of people even older than me that go to these meetings. So I think we wanted to make sure that that the next stage we come back to you. And so if there's besides this, if there's other settings, it's not listed, it's not limited to we need to do this once. If some of your groups, like people know that there's the youth advisory board for the adolescent health center at Hopkins, and so we bring these things. I'm always and I attend those meetings, and if there's something that's going on, I call it to the attention of people like Zion and Niam and Cam and those folks, so they can hear about it and make suggestions. And so I know some of you may be involved in other groups, to be able to make sure we're bringing those things to them, the youth as resources. If there's mental health things that are being suggested, that would be a good place to try to bring it to them, because those young people actually know, they are experts on what works and what's needed. So if again later on, or I don't know if maybe Asiata can just put my email in the chat room or something, or we can send it around, that later on, if there's some place where you want this information delivered to, or in the fall, meet places to come to a meeting, we're glad to try to come to the meeting to make sure that we're getting as many voices as possible, from young people.
Also, I agree with the idea to bring youth in. I know John Hopkins OBGYN branch has a youth community advisory board. It's called Violet Voices. I'm a part of it, actually. And we deal with the lack of representation when it comes to sexual and reproductive health in Baltimore. And it was something like, it was really shocking because a lot of people don't have access to menstrual products, condoms and stuff. Yet people are like so worried about the problem, but they don't want to like address it from the roots. So yeah.
Great. No, that's a good suggestion. And just sort of knowing about these things, because we can, again, we can send it out to the groups, and the groups can, make notes and send it into the Department of Planning. We'll try to make it, easy, or that. Again, the more different people who are coming, proposing the same, say checking off the same suggestions, I think that's powerful. That because that puts, it says there's lots of people that are interested in that. There's lots of people that think the lunches in schools are important. I mean, or that the trash is an issue, and the idea that you guys came up with, that some neighborhoods may need it every day, and some neighborhoods don't need it every day. So it shouldn't be everybody gets it picked up every day, but there should be ways of getting on the everyday list. If they're doing it 2 times a week and there's still more trash, and maybe they got to go to 3 times a week or 4 times a week. There's a way of getting the information that it's not working, and then making it work better. Okay. Well, I just want to thank everybody for the suggestions in the chat. There's been a lot of reinforcement of some of the things in the chat, so that's been real helpful. And again, if something else comes up, I'll definitely let folks know, and other folks know about it too. And then Ms. Mo is going to be on top of this stuff, and is always involved with these discussions. And Ms. Joni is also a lot of time, and I know she always talks about not just talking to her, but she talking to the young people she's working with, and who are really giving her the information that she's really just talking about it. And again, if there's other groups that you think you know of that, I mean, I mentioned a couple that's because I know about them. But I think that I know there's also a lot of groups. I mean, some of the churches and other faith groups may have some groups, or again, it was mentioned the LGBTQ plus, that should be also a group that goes to directly in terms of some of these things, because they're, they have, again, both. And again, I'm not thinking about the complaints. They have good solutions. We got to, making sure that the solutions for problems are really coming from people that have thought about it for a while. And therefore they probably have a much better specific suggestion about what could be done. Plus they continue to exist so that when the city quote starts implementing their plan, I mean, I think one of the things that we need based on past experience is just because something's in the plan doesn't mean it's going to happen. And so making sure the youth groups and also some of the other, specialty groups where they're special because people of like minds have come together, because they, as people were talking about this morning, they have best friends. They also have groups of people that are good friends, and some of their good friends are people that they're friends with around an issue. They're not necessarily friends because they work with them or in the same class or something else, but they're people that they get positive suggestions from. People have lots of friends at their faith groups, and they may just only see them on Friday or Saturday and Sunday, but they've been seeing them since they grew up, and even longer. So I think, making sure that those groups get to have some feedback. Again, if we can create that in a way within the city, then that becomes something that's positive. Okay, well,
Thank you. Thank you so much,
very
Dr.
much.
Phil. Would you guys like to drop a jewel? If you like to drop a jewel, Dawn first, then me. Sorry.
I already dropped the jewel like last session, but I can drop another one, I guess.
It's okay.
I feel like I say this all the time, but it's okay to not be okay. When you're feeling down, address the situation. The first step to actually making change is to acknowledging it, saying it, writing it, doing whatever you need to address it and to overcome it.
I'll say success is not final, failure is not fatal. That's all I have.
I'll just repeat something that our group says all the time. We're all we got. We're all we need. When we come together, things can happen.
Okay, I think that's the end of our session. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Dr. Phil.
Great, thank you.
It was a good 2 sessions.